Okay. So posture is important because I'm sure you understand. I don't need to explain much. But if we sit upright and confident, then the energy can flow better in the body, the breath, the gross breath, as well as the more subtle breath, which is said to be there, that can flow better. And it leads to, therefore, more harmonious sort of feeling in the body. And it helps to also balance, to some extent, the thoughts, to some extent, to calm the thoughts and the bodily processes. That's a very long, perhaps very long process, but we can start. So we sit upright with the head tucked in a little bit, point chin, little bit head downwards, little bit, not much. Main thing is head should not be up in the air. That will lead to tension. So it's gently inclined a little forwards, downwards. Arms relaxed. Hands on the knees or in the lap. Make sure your feet, legs, good contact with the ground, cushion. And also make sure that you're not holding a lot of tension in the muscles of your face, around the eyes, around the mouth. Very easy to be tense in those areas, and also muscles of neck and the solar plexus. Of course, tension can be stored anywhere in the body, but these are some places we may feel it more, depending on mental, physical condition and other conditions. So generally, when we practice at the beginning, we can feel, we can sense, we can also imagine that the tension or pain is, if there is any pain, is just flowing out of the body as we breathe out. So with the out breath, we can relax, let go. And now, it's very important in our tradition to adjust not just the body, but the mind, meaning not just to make the mind calm. That, of course, is important. But at the very beginning, the motivation, intention behind the practice, to make sure there is no sort of purely personal or more self-centered, even selfish motivation. Of course, we have to look after ourselves. We have to take care of ourselves. That is obvious. But in the long term, we try to, you see, create now the motivation, the aspiration that we will be of great benefit for not just oneself, but for others as well. You see, not just oneself. So therefore, we try to arouse that kind of thought, feeling. So you can think, I'm a person, I'm an important person. I mean, important not because you have any title maybe, but you're a human being, you want to be happy, of course, not suffer. So in that sense, yeah, you have to take care of that. But I guess we never forget that we may never forget that we are just one person, you see. Other people, well, there are supposed to be now 8 billion people in the world. So that's a lot of people, just human beings. So therefore, how could I be more important than them, you see? So, and especially when you see people suffering, and recently the devastating earthquake in Turkey, when you see that and those kind of sufferings, then you realize my own problems, they're not very much, not much. I haven't lost my house, I haven't lost my family, or in an earthquake or something. I'm pretty much okay that way. So, well, of course, everybody, according to Lord Buddha, is suffering all the time, one way or another, whether we can see it or not. And by that he means there is no lasting satisfaction in any worldly pursuit, whether it be pleasure or gain or good reputation or praise, whatever things make us happy. These things, they don't last, and they can also be the cause of many problems. I mean, the main thing is we don't have any kind of lasting mental peace or satisfaction. So that is a state of unsatisfactoriness, dukkha, in the kind of word that Buddha used, dukkha, also a modern Hindi word, as we know, meaning something suffering, something unpleasant. So the motivation is to understand this and to think that the purpose of one's life is not just to create just a little bit more pleasure or happiness for myself, or gain, or people's praise, or to try and work hard at a good reputation for myself. Purpose of life is to be of service, of benefit to other people, because we depend on them and they are suffering. And bottom line, they want happiness, they don't want suffering, just like me, just like you. So therefore, they are very important. They are precious that way. Depending on others, I can develop good qualities: patience, respect, forgiveness, generosity. None of these can be practiced without other people. If somebody is making me angry, then all they're also doing is giving me the opportunity to practice restraint and patience. Friend is helping me in certain ways, but so is the person who's making me angry. In fact, in one way, they are the greater teacher, helping us develop good qualities. So anyway, in this way, we can think how others are so precious, so important. If someone had made a few hours long video or movie of when we were 1 day old, 2 days old, and how much we depended on Mother maybe Father too, then we would perhaps be very surprised how completely dependent. And of course, didn't just last one day, it lasted more than 10, 15 years, being basically looked after and guided in so many ways by the parents. That is something pretty amazing. If we help someone for 10 or 15 minutes, we want them to thank us. We get upset if they don't say thank you, you know. What about parents? What about other people who helped us, you know, sacrificed for us even? Unbelievable. So how can we just selfishly look after ourselves? Only care for ourselves. This is the logic that is used in the Mahayana Buddhism, and actually is very powerful, I think. If you think about it properly, reflect on it, excuse me, it's very powerful. Think about it. Because while sitting here, our practice is not just to pass time, but to create the cause, to actually be able to be of benefit for others. There's no other really worthy purpose in life. Even animals take care of themselves. It's no big deal, you know. You know, birds, certain mammals, they take care of their young very well. They make their houses, their nests, they reproduce, they store up food for the winter, some of them. So if that's all we're doing, albeit in a very sophisticated way, then we're no different really from animals. And of course, some scientists are quite happy saying that, you know, we're just very highly intelligent animals. But maybe that's not enough. You have to think about that, decide yourself. What I'm saying might be nonsense. It's up to us to decide. Each person to reflect. And then to be of any benefit to others, like helping people with anything, we need to develop our internal qualities, our skills. Like if we want to be, you know, a good lifesaver, we have to learn how to swim well. If we want to be a good doctor, then we have to train well. If we want to be a good teacher, whatever, we have to train, we have to develop skill. So in order to really benefit others long term, internally, we say we need to develop qualities of wisdom, quality of love and compassion, so that we use the wisdom skillfully. And then we also, of course, initially need a calm and clear mind. Without a calm, stable, clear mind, we can't do anything, because the mind becomes very, you know, turbulent, scattered, distracted. So that's why initially we practice what we call the stabilizing meditation, you could say, or the tranquil abiding, calming meditation, shamatha, in Sanskrit, calm abiding or tranquil abiding, in which we, make the mind a little bit more calm, clear, focused. again, just check the posture is upright and comfortable. We're going to be following the breath, paying attention to the breath. Naturally, no for special breathing, just breathing. Just follow the breath as it comes and goes. The sensation of the breath, not any idea of the breath. Actually feel the breath as it enters your nostrils and leaves. You might need to take a few deep breaths first to connect with it. And that will be the focus of our attention, but in a kind of a gentle way for about 7-8 minutes. And thoughts will come. That's very natural. But we're not emphasizing thoughts yet in meditation. If thoughts come, memories come, recognize and let go. Don't follow them. Let them go. Let go and come back to the breath. Again and again, let go and come back to the breath. So we have to recognize when a thought has come, we have to be alert, but also relaxed. If we are tense, it won't work. So upright, body still, sense of being at ease and relaxed, but also very attentive, vigilant. So that when the thoughts come, we recognize, gently let go, and come back to the breath. Okay, so this is the practice for the next 7-8 minutes. We do it in a relaxed but attentive way. If you would like to stand or stretch briefly, do that now. Bob, would you mind giving me some hot water? Thanks, if there is. Welcome back. You couldn't stay away. Sure, maybe you can move the sofa back, then you can easily go this way. So you might have found that quite interesting. Very simple instructions, but very interesting practice, because you might have gone to so many places. The mind is so amazing. You could have gone to many countries. You could have gone in the past, into the future. The mind goes everywhere. Good thoughts. Well, I won't say good. I will say pleasant thoughts, unpleasant thoughts, neutral thoughts, worrying thoughts, lustful thoughts, angry thoughts. Haji? टी नहीं चाहिए, बस पानी. Thanks, Bob. Very good. What is what we want? Okay. So here, so what kind of experience did we have during this practice? People online, people at Tushita, how was it? Usually we don't ask, do we? But today we're asking. Anybody? Or did you sleep? If you're tired, then you need sleep, right?
For me, it was physical. Like there was things happening in my body that were taking my attention. On some days, I feel like I can feel the presence of my body more than others.
Pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral sensations?
Presence of my body, but yeah, some days it wasn't unpleasant, thankfully, but it was just pronounced. Sometimes on some days it takes extra effort to detach from the body, I think.
So you wouldn't describe the sensations you felt as pleasant or unpleasant, more neutral?
You're more neutral, yes.
Okay, good. Anybody else? Sahil? Any sensation, anything? Anything to report?
Swinging of attention. Swinging of attention from breath to and again to breath.
Were you able to come back to the breath? Were you able to connect with the breath initially? Could you feel the breath? Okay. Could you feel, Abhishek?
Yes, yes.
You could feel the breath?
Yes. But it's neutral.
Breath, I guess.
This is the first time.
Yeah. Breath is kind of neutral, I suppose. Yeah. Is it Giovanni? No.
Graziano.
Sorry, Graziano. Anything to report?
I was concentrating on the breath at the beginning, then I lost touch.
You lost touch. Where did you go? Can you remember?
Some subsequent thoughts. But then once again I could concentrate on my breath.
Good. Okay. Bob, did you have any experience?
I somehow managed to keep my mind blank after you said to the posture and all that. After you had instructed, I managed to keep my mind blank.
Blank.
Already right. Till the time you rang the bell.
What did he say, Nitya?
He managed to keep his mind blank for a little while until you rang the bell.
It was blank. Nothing was happening.
Yeah, I think.
Wow, you blanked out. क्या खा रहे हो आजकल? क्या ले रहे हो? कौन सा दवाई खा रहे हैं भाई साहब के? That you blanked out in a positive way. Yeah, positive. Yeah. Positive blanking out. Okay, that's Bob's experience. ठीक है.
Because I came running like mad. House number 1, 2, 2, 3.
Okay. Thank you. Vikram ji, Vikram online, are you still with us? Anything to report?
No, just a calm meditation, no problem.
I'm not going to accept that. Calm meditation, no problem. That covers a multitude of sins, sir. बताइए क्या हो रहा था?
No, seriously, that was about it.
Tell me the exact things, but calm mind, no problem. ये तो, What was happening? Maybe you were doing some memory, some plan. No? Or
No.
Children?
Nothing.
Sorry?
Nothing.
You also blanked out.
Perhaps, yeah. I don't know. It was a usual meditation. It was quite good at the end. I felt quite relaxed at the end of it. While you were asking for some hot water, I was getting very relaxed.
That's very very well, good. But were you able to connect with that?
Yeah, no problem.
Yes, no. Did you connect with the breath initially?
Yes, absolutely.
Good. Absolutely. Okay. Take her. And after a while, what happened?
There are a few intrusive thoughts, but nothing, but rather quiet in nature. And, and then I just went back to the breath. That was it.
And nothing disturbing or mind-blowing?
No, nothing.
Okay, very good. Naveenji just joined, so he missed it. Divya, what kind, how was your meditation?
It was good.
Hello, Divya.
Yes, can you hear me?
I don't accept words like good or bad here. I just want a report of what happened. Good, bad, so that's the judgment.
There were less thoughts. Less thoughts.
Well, less than what?
Normally I have a lot of thoughts, but this time the thoughts were less and my mind was calm.
You didn't have angry thoughts about your husband, for example.
No, I've accepted him the way he is.
Good. Very good. You accepted him the way he is. Have you accepted your mind the way it is? Have you accepted your mind?
I have to. I think I have to do that. Yes. बिल्कुल आपने ठीक पकड़ा, वो मुझे एक्सेप्ट करना है अपने अंदर. हाँ.
अपने दिमाग से दोस्ती नहीं किया.
हाँ.
You haven't made friends with your mind. Were you able to follow the breath initially?
No, because I'm having cold and cough now, so I cannot follow the breath. Cold and
but you're
cough.
Still breathing.
My nose is blocked.
Breathing in and out, right?
So
what are you breathing
through? Blocked. I'm breathing from my mouth.
So you can follow your breath at your mouth.
Okay.
और कहाँ follow करेंगे?
Correct.
If it's not coming through your nose, it will come through your mouth.
Yes.
Wherever the breath is coming,
Yes.
I don't know if any people can breathe through their ears, but there might be some yogis. So anyway, mouth or nose, you just have to follow. And would you say you felt more calm or more agitated at the end of the session, the short session?
Calm. I felt calm.
Okay. Good. So we were looking at verses from chapter 8, but we need to always remember the instructions of chapter 5, that those who wish to guard the practice must very attentively guard their minds. For those who don't guard their minds will be unable to guard their practice. That means their meditation, their spiritual practice, their inner practice. That was the first verse of chapter 5. Very important. And then, because then Shantideva says that, the harm that we can receive from the untrained mind is far greater than any other harm we could receive from, he says, tigers or crazy elephants or anything else. Today you might have to substitute tigers and crazy elephants, because I guess we killed most of the tigers, but there's still some elephants around. But mostly nowadays we have to be aware of, what do we have to be aware of nowadays? Anyway, many things that attracts and so forth. So that's what we have to guard against, the mind that is without control, going all over the place, after thoughts of desire, after thoughts of anger, jealousy, pride, worry, fear, insecurity, sheer greed sometimes. Or if we are genuinely hungry or thirsty or tired, then we will be thinking of those kind of things, connected with that. Basically, the mind is something we need to watch. And it's amazing how we forget that in our modern society. So that when you go to sometimes talks or lectures or read things in newspapers, it's amazing how people don't seem to catch the main point, that the mind is the source of all of our joy and all of our difficulties. Everyone is focused so much on it, matters, and so forth. Not that external matters are unimportant, but they are determined actually by inner factors, mental factors. There'd be no war in Ukraine if several people had different thoughts, different mental attitude. I'm not just blaming one person. It's not just one person. We're talking many people, and a few important ones, obviously. It all comes down to mind, thoughts, vision. This is where we mute people. Okay, right. So it all depends on that, you see. All depends on what our mind is doing. Even this great American psychologist, author, early author, this early 20th century, William James, he said that, the mind takes on the color and shape, if you like, or the hue of what you are paying attention to. So if we keep on paying attention to something, it will lead to certain thinking and action and words, maybe based on review, whatever, a different way, I think it'll be different, We need to remember it, to a reality, Think certain thoughts often enough, we can become very depressed, very angry, or very desirous, or whatever it is. Thoughts to become jealous of someone. Take much with that. So, what are we doing with our mind? What thoughts in the morning, light, which are important times, stressed in all the tradition. motivation. When we wake, we develop positive, open-hearted attitude in the day. And important if we have any kind of for spiritual practice. Any more feedback? Anyone that we carry with some verses from chapter 8 we've been looking at, the meditation chapter. There are very important verses coming in now, at verse 90. So amazing, but amazing if we put it in practice. But as William James says, rather than just reading it once and thinking out and then leaving it. 90. First of all, I should state upon the equality between self and other. I should protect all beings to myself. Why? Because we are all in wanting pain. We never, it's about this. Who of us have this properly? We help someone, because of sentiment due to attack. When do we ever, okay, all these people, street that I'm past walking or bicycling, they're all me in wanting pleasure, not wanting suffering. And therefore, there's an equality there. Who thinks that? No, we think, are they helping me or hindering me? Are they in my way or not in my way? All we're thinking about is me. It's so limited and so selfish. Or let's say self-centered. We're not deliberately trying to be selfish or nasty, but it's just so preoccupied with me. I just got some water, thanks. And there wouldn't be much left. Thanks, Naveenji. So, although there are many parts and aspects, such as the hand, he's now talking about his body to demonstrate his point. As a body that is to be protected, they are one. So whether it's the head or the hand or the nose or the toe, it's all one body. Likewise, all the different sentient beings in their pleasure and pain have a wish to be happy that is the same as mine. Same wish to be happy. We can check if this is correct or not. We might dislike someone so much, we never think of them in these terms. That they also have their pains, their likes and dislikes, their pleasure, their pain. We don't care because we don't like them, or we despise them for whatever reason. Could be anything. They harmed us, or politically we think they're idiots. Whatever it is, we don't like somebody. So then we don't see their common humanity with us. All we see is what we think is wrong with them. We don't like. They should not be like that. They should be like this, In fact, we're laying our own trip on them, actually. Suffering that I experience, verse 92, suffering that I experience does not cause any harm to others. This is the how we debate with ourselves, maybe. But then Shantideva says, but that suffering is mine. Why? Because of my conceiving, thinking again and again of myself as I, me. And in this way, it becomes unbearable. If we were to be able to look at suffering, for example, a suffering thought or a pain in our body in the initial meditation we do, and just see it as it is a suffering. it is suffering. It's not my suffering. Why do we bring me into it? It's just suffering. It's something unpleasant that comes and goes. But due to ignorance, Buddhists would say, we stick I, me, mine everywhere and make a big mess, basically. We mess everything up. We're a bunch of aggregates, body and mind. We're a bunch of eye, ear, nose, tongue, touch organs and their objects, and the actions of, seeing and tasting and touching and hearing and so forth. That's what we are. Plus a whole bunch of other mental factors. We always want to bring I into it. Me. Just a habit. It's a bad, ignorant habit we've had since beginningless time, according to Buddha. Well, this is very hard for us to understand and accept because we've always grown up and we believe in the I, the me. We have a name, it's me, and I, me. We point to our, of course, if someone says, who are you? Or whose turn is it now? Then we point to our body. It's me. So are we our body? We have to check. Are we our mind? Which part of the mind? Which part of the body? If we were to begin checking very carefully what we mean by I, we would see that there is no real independently existing inherent I from its own side. Simply a label, a convenient label that we give to a bunch of mental and physical aggregations, feelings, sensations, discriminations, mental factors, consciousnesses, the body itself. All of this we just call I, me, the person. So, and then if we have any suffering, oh, I'm suffering. Sure, when there's pain in my body, it doesn't mean there's pain in your body, sure. But then we have to realize how when I say, oh, I'm hurting, you see how we exaggerate this notion of I. Of course, the more we think about it, the worse it gets, obviously. And even if we just got bitten by one mosquito last night, or it came into our mosquito net, it becomes such a big deal. We talk to everyone about it at breakfast. How we got disturbed by one mosquito. Of course, also due to the fear, Oh, I was told before I came to this country, or you don't have to be a foreigner, you can be an Indian and be afraid of mosquitoes. So my family always trying to kill mosquitoes. There's this mosquito and it's like red alert. In my family, a fly comes into the house like red alert, where are the missiles, destroy this fly that is potential carrier of dirt and disgusting things from outside the house. So we have a big deal with this I, and it's destroying us. This is what's destroying our happiness since beginningless time, according to the Buddha. Beginningless time. This is the devil. This is the culprit in Buddhism, if you like. This I and what comes out of that. The clinging to I, the selfishness, the self-centeredness, the self-protectiveness. The not caring so much for other people. Because, oneself is so important. Shantideva gives an antidote for this selfish attitude in verse 93. He says, likewise, the misery of others doesn't affect me, doesn't befall me. It's not happening to me. Somebody breaks their leg, it's not happening to me. Nevertheless, by thinking of others as I, their suffering becomes mine. Therefore, it too should be hard to bear. And we have a good example of this, don't we, in life? Anybody? What's the good example of this? We might think, oh, this is for great, unusually, saintly people. But who else thinks this way? Matlab in the last two lines. By conceiving of others as I, their suffering becomes mine. Therefore, it too should be hard to bear. Who actually practices that? There's an example. Anyone? not a trick question. Who regards others' suffering as their own? Quite instinctively. Huh? Yeah, parents. Especially maybe the mother, but sometimes the father more. The child is suffering. The mother doesn't think, oh, this is not my suffering. I don't care, you know. Can you imagine? Say mother has one child, dear child, loves this child. It's not going to think of the child's suffering as separate. Child wakes up, mother wakes up. Child needs to have milk, mother gives milk. Nappy needs to be changed, nappy is changed. The mother can't, you know, bear the thought of the child being uncomfortable. The child gets sick, the mother can become sick with anxiety on account of the child. Isn't that so? Maybe our own mothers were like that with us. But then as we grow older, we develop this very separate sense of ourselves, our self-importance, and the society and everything encourages that. And we already have this ignorance, according to Buddha, from beginningless time. So we conceive of this body and mind, which is just an impersonal kind of machine, in a sense, as I. When I say impersonal machine, I don't mean in a bad way. It's an amazing so-called machine which can generate incredible, noble, you know, thoughts and so forth and become Buddha. But in that sense that it's a combination of different mental and physical factors working together, that's what I mean by a machine. So, but we take it and we stamp I, me, mine, all over the place. And then we suffer. Anything I don't want, it becomes a suffering, right? Anything I want, we want to grab it. So whole life is spent trying to feed, please this I, this me. Often with very vain and fanciful thoughts, which never turn out to be, you know, possible or practical. We exhaust ourselves with our the I's fantasies, the I's hallucinations. Think about this. Therefore, he says, therefore, hence I should dispel the misery of others, because it is suffering just like my own. And I should benefit others because they are sentient beings, just like myself. Anybody got the other
Yeah.
What does the other translation say?
93.
94.
94. And therefore I'll dispel the pain of others, for it is simply pain, just like my own. And others I'll aid and benefit, for they are living beings like my body.
Like?
My body.
Body, not myself. Okay. Maybe that's more accurate. I don't know the Tibetan or the Sanskrit. This is originally in Sanskrit, Buddhist Sanskrit, which is a bit different from ordinary Sanskrit, slightly different. 94, apparently, I don't know, but this is what the scholars say. Let's see how it's translated. I'll just read some of this great commentary by a Tibetan scholar, Kunzang Palden. This is how Buddhas and Bodhisattvas claim sentient beings as their own selves in the way explained above, so that even the slightest pain of others is for them as if their entire body were on fire. And they do not have the slightest hesitation in doing so. Just as when the Buddha claimed as his own the swan that his jealous cousin Devdatta had shot down with an arrow. Taking sentient beings as one's own does not require lengthy training. For example, if you tell somebody that you will give him an old horse, no sooner are the words out of your mouth than the other person has already appropriated the horse and cannot bear it if the horse is in distress. That's interesting. Say you give something to someone, this is even without money, it's yours now. Then for that person, then it becomes theirs. It's mine. And then they take care of it. So it's a question of how you think. I may have something quite precious to me, but if I give it to someone, then I've given it to them. It's no longer mine. I no longer mind what happens to it in a sense. Well, sometimes we can't even do that, do we? We give something to someone with strings attached. Oh, look, I'm giving you this, I'm very kind, but you must do this with it, take care of it, don't give it to that person, you know, all sorts of strings attached, which is just stupid, you know. Still, it might be thought that because one has drifted into such bad mental habits, the thoughts of taking others as oneself will never arise. But the Lord Buddha has said that in the world, in all the world, he never saw anything easier to educate than the mind itself. Once it is set on the right path and steps are taken to subjugate it. Let's face it, I don't think anyone in this room is going to run a 10-second 100 meters or get anywhere close to the world record for jumping, right? High jump, long jump. Anyone here think they can get close to the world record? Olympic record? Or in the marathon? What do you think? Weightlifting? No, we can't. But mind, can we all become Buddha? Can we all develop positive mental factors, love and compassion? Yes. I won't ask you the question, I'm just telling you. The Buddha says yes. We can develop qualities even if we grow up with sort of more negative mindset. We can change our mind through meeting the right people, hearing the right teachings, etc., etc., and especially meditating, reflecting ourselves. So the Buddha is right. He says there's nothing easier than to educate the mind. Much easier than the body. None of us are going to be like Chinese acrobats who can do amazing contortions with our body. No way. No way. I can tell you, no way when you become a senior citizen, no way. Maybe when you're younger, it's easier, but still. This commentary is amazing. Excuse me. One should spend more time with such commentaries. On the other hand, Buddha also said, there's nothing more difficult to govern than untrained mind. If you have an untrained body, the worst is you'll die young, have a heart attack, get BP, diabetes, and you'll die young, right? That's the worst that can happen to you if you don't look after your body. But if we don't look after our minds, the Buddha said we can create the cause for hell. Even in this life, we can create so much damage in our relationships, in our environment. You know, think of it. One person's ambition and fear and insecurity creates a whole war. I mean, one of the main triggers, right? Create this Ukrainian war. So imagine the damage one mind can do, and it's done to, say, Putin's karma from a Buddhist perspective, to for that to happen based on his orders is unbelievable negative karma, which will ripen for him as hellish experience in the future after he dies. So, or maybe many, many lifetimes, he may never hear the sounds of his favorite Russian hymns or, whatever spiritual practices in the future for many lives, due to the incredible power of the mind to create, what should we say, its own bubble, its own cocoon of pain, which is what we feel temporarily very often ourselves. When you're feeling really bad or angry or whatever, nothing can get in. You're like enclosed in a cocoon of your own pain based on your projection, which is from your mind. So that is what hell is. It just means it happens for a longer period of time. And imagine if it happens after you die, then it's like I often say, and it makes sense to me. If I have a bad dream, if I can't sleep, if I have some problem, I can still get out of bed in the morning and make my favorite cup of tea as a human. But after I die, then the mind separates from this body. I can't do that. then I'm totally under control of karmic wind, we say, meaning the thoughts, previous karmas are connected with the subtle winds in our body, the energy, let's say. So that controls us after we die, just as it controls us when we go to sleep and at all other times of our life. But meaning when you wake up in the morning as a human, you can again do what humans do. Maybe a nice day, you can breathe in the Delhi air and think, okay, well, whatever. You can look at the trees, you can open your favorite book or picture book and look at something nice. You can't do that once you're dead. You have no means to comfort yourself after death. And if you've created a lot of negative karma, that's it. That's the vision you are seeing. That's what's being projected on the screen. You see, it's hell. So you should remember a time in your life when you were very afraid, very upset, just this claustrophobia of pain and kind of pressing in on you. Maybe some of you had that experience, or feeling nearly or very suicidal. So this is what it's like. Hell is a bit like, must be like that. You want to read about it? It's in the texts. And of course, practitioners are encouraged to read about hell, so they don't think of it as some fairy tale just that the Buddha invented to make us good. And we should read accounts of people who've been in wars and who have had experiences and see how there is also hell on earth. We may be leading very comfortable little lives, you know, with our little pet projects and desires and little problems, you know. But there are people who are going through hell. And that's created by karma. It's created by one's own actions. So anyway, why are we saying this? I can't remember. Anyway, beings are suffering. And then this amazing verse 95. It's such a wonderful verse. So simple and so clear. When both myself and others are similar in that we wish to be happy, what is so special about me? Why do I strive for my happiness alone? I think probably to be a good doctor, you have to have this thought in the back of your mind. You know? What's so special about me? Then you see all these people whose, you know, life is draining out of them in the casualty department, or, you know, their relatives are beside themselves with anxiety, and you see this person maybe with bad cancer or all the other things, and you say, my life is like a, you know, it's like a party. It's heavenly compared to that person who's suffering on the bed, who may live or die, don't know, in the next few minutes. Whose, you know, brain has been, I don't know, something awful, or has received a bullet wound, or in a car accident, you know, half the body is crushed, or burnt. Imagine being burnt, half your body being burnt. What is the percentage of burn that one is point of no return, do you think, where one is very difficult to survive? Huh?
30 to 40%.
That all. So if you have 30 to 40% burns on your body, very hard to survive. So imagine you have 20, 30% burns on your body. What's that going to feel like? You know? Even if you live, what's it like to feel burn? It must be incredibly painful. Have you ever seen burn patients? What's it like? We have a doctor here, that's whom I'm talking to. What's it like? Do they shout and scream, or how do you?
At the time of dressing.
Huh?
At the time of
dressing. And then how do you control their pain outside of the dressing period? They must be having pain all the time.
Drugs.
Huh?
Intravenous drugs.
Intravenous drugs. Quite strong, I would think. So, you know, it's not hard to imagine hell. Go to a hospital, go somewhere you don't usually go, you know, take a look. Even go into a morgue. Go into the morgue, try and sneak into the morgue of a hospital saying you're looking for someone who may have died, who has died, and you don't know where they are. I had to do that once. It was awful. At Ames, actually. A foreigner was staying at Tushita when we were in another place, and he disappeared, and he was a bit weird. We thought he might have died. So then I went to the morgue of Ames 3 or 4 times, a bit confused and thinking, oh, maybe that's him, maybe that's not him. Is that him, you know? I went 3 or 4 times. I'm not saying the morgue was like hell, but it wasn't nice. It wasn't like in the movies. And it wasn't properly air conditioned. You probably have better morgue at Ames now. All these dead bodies. Not in nice, you know, drawers like in the movies or in the American movies. Just out there, cold slabs. Yeah, anyway, what we're talking about is suffering and the misery of others. So imagine your child has been hurt in an accident and you rush them to the hospital, then how do you feel? You don't think, oh, that's the child suffering, I don't care. You know? Wow, could you imagine some of you are fathers and mothers? What would that be like? God, your child, your daughter, your son is dying in front of your eyes. Can you imagine? Again, like in the movies, or like now it's happening in Turkey and Syria. So many children being dug out of the ruins. Some, of course, they take photos of the ones who survive. They don't take many photos of the ones who are dead, right? Because who wants to see that? So yeah, both myself and others are similar. We wish to be happy. We don't want to experience hell. So what's so special about me? Why do I strive for my happiness alone? When we think about it, it's pretty selfish. We're only thinking of ourselves. Understandable, but at a certain point, it's selfish, no? Then the ego mind replies in verse 97, why should I protect them if their suffering is not causing me any harm? Then Shantideva uses the argument, he replies to the ego, then why protect myself against future suffering? It's not causing me any harm right now. You know, we make all sorts of plans for the future, insurance and taking this vitamin, that vitamin. We read about some disease or problem and we take measures now so that we don't have to experience that problem in the future. Why am I doing it? I'm not suffering from it yet, but I'm doing something about it right now. So he says it's invalid to think of others' harm as not causing me any harm and therefore ignoring them. He's just making us think a bit more, right? You may not agree totally with his logics, and none of us have probably studied Buddhist logic very deeply, so we're not yet convinced by it. I don't know about Aristotelian logic or other modern Western philosophical logic. I haven't studied it. It's a mistaken conception to think that I shall experience the sufferings of my next life. For it is another person who dies and another that will be reborn. This is interesting. It's not me who dies. If all of us die tomorrow, it's not the me of today who is dying tomorrow. It's the me of tomorrow that's dying. And the me is just a label. Anyway. So in the next life we suffer. There is suffering, but it's not the same, exactly the same me or I. It's the same continuum at a subtle level, which will then develop attributes depending on our parents. Say we're human. We might be born to an African mother and a Australian father. So then, of course, we will look different. We will feel different. We will have different food and schooling or whatever. Hopefully the planet will still be there and it will all be different. But there is a continuum. The effects of our karma can still be felt. But we're not the same person as now. We'll be a different person, look different, of course, different name probably, etc., etc. So he's saying it's mistaken to think that I shall experience the suffering of my next life. It's another person who dies, another that will be reborn. This is the argument of the ego. Surely whenever there is, well, actually, it's not just the argument of the ego. Surely whenever there's suffering, the sufferers must protect themselves from it. The ego said that. Yet the suffering of the foot is not the suffering of the hand. So then why does the hand protect the foot? Good argument. The foot is down there, you know, maybe 5-6 feet away. Why do I care about my foot? It's not the hand. The hand helps it. It's his way of saying, look, we are together in all of this. There's a unity. The hand helps the foot. Sometimes the foot helps the rest of the body, of course. Like kicking open a door or, whatever. Getting out of a smoke-filled room. So anyway, although this may not be justified, it is done because of grasping at a self. So ego says, it may not be justified, but I do this, I care for my own suffering alone because of grasping at a self. And yet surely Shantideva replies, whatever is not justified for myself or others should at all costs be rejected. This is a little bit like the virtue we were talking of yesterday. It's virtuous to think in this way. Okay, I grasp at myself. That's why I only take care of myself. Yes, true. But is it good to do that? Is it good to continue acting in that way? No. No. Of course it has causes. Taking care of ourselves alone has many causes, mainly ignorance, self-grasping ignorance. Is it right? Is it wise? No. It's not justified for myself or others. Shantideva says, at all costs, it should be rejected. Such, and now he's getting very deep, and this is amazing, and we'll stop soon. Such things as a continuum, like continuum of mind, and an aggregation, things coming together, are false. Are false in the same way as prayer beads and an army. We'll talk about that. There is no real owner of suffering. This is very important. There is no real owner of suffering. Therefore, who has control over it? Whose suffering should I care for if there is no real owner of suffering anywhere? There is no ultimately existing owner of anything, actually. It's all relative. There's a relative owner of suffering, obviously. If not, then, if anyone in this room were suffering in their left toe of the left foot, then I would also be feeling it, but I'm not. I wouldn't be. Relatively, yeah, we are very different. But on the ultimate level, if we're looking at it from an ultimate point of view, there is no owner. There is no real owner. There's no real hand, no real foot, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind. If we investigate, no inherent owner, no inherent anything from its own side, independent of other circumstances. Of course, relatively, there is eye, ear, nose, tongue, touch, everything is relatively existing. Open your eyes, you see relative truth. It's all existing relatively. But when we begin to check deeply, we do not find anything independently existing from its own side, which is the way we ignorantly conceive of things. That's the point. There being no inherent owner of suffering, there can be no distinction at all between that of myself and others. He's saying it's just suffering. It is suffering. It is ownerless suffering in one sense, but because it hurts, we should get rid of it. Thus I shall dispel it because it hurts. Why am I so certain? He's asking himself, why am I so certain that I should not eliminate the suffering of others? Of course, things like laziness play a big part here, right? Yeah, okay, Shantideva, I know what you're saying is correct, actually, but what the heck? I have a busy life, I'm tired. I can't do much for others, blah, 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 I could have, 45 years ago. Now it's getting late, I just need to look after myself and make sure my insurance plan and everything is up to date, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, this is what we do. The whole world is telling us to do this, that we're stupid if we don't do this. We can stop there with some food for thought. A lot of food for thought. So it's like he brings in the essence of the 9th chapter into these verses. That's what the 9th chapter is about, except it goes into it in great detail, going step by step through all of the different philosophical schools of Buddhism. It becomes very complicated, chapter 9. But the essence is here in verse 101, 102. They are pointing to the essence of things, the reality. There is no inherent owner. There is no ultimately existing I, me, mine. It's a hallucination. We keep on believing in it and we keep on suffering because of it. It's what we, through understanding it, we a little bit through Buddhism or whatever, we want to get rid of it, but it's the hardest thing to get rid of because it's been our friend, we think, for so long. It's been our way of thinking for so long, our way of being for so long. It's hard enough just getting older and growing up and or you know, changing a house, changing anything, the decoration in your house, changing the way the furniture is, because we identify with all these things as I, me, mine. So I'm quite proud of myself today. Got rid of 2 chairs that have been with the family for probably 60, 70 years. And they're just in the way. I just don't need so much stuff in my hall, in my living room. So I got rid of it. Gave it to someone who's very happy to have it. Isn't that great? I wanted to take a last photograph, but he'd already gone on the tailor. So that's good. I shouldn't take photographs of it because I've let it go now. It's somebody else's. But my uncle would be turning, writhing in his grave if he knew about this. He was very attached to these old, we still have the big sofa, but the 2 side chairs have gone. Anybody want a big old sofa from the early 20th century is welcome.
Uncle's probably a carpenter this time.
Huh?
Your uncle's probably a carpenter this time.
Yes, maybe. Yeah, he could be a carpenter. Yeah.
You want to give away the sofa?
Huh?
You want to give away a sofa?
Yeah, you want a sofa?
I'll come on Sunday.
You will? What are you going to do with a big sofa? You have space? You need a sofa?
Yeah.
I'll come and investigate. I'll be mean and do a means test. And if this is dreadful, isn't it? I should just give it to him. But if I'm just going to help you clutter up your life, I don't think I want to do it. But if you really need a sofa.
My friend made me
Huh?
sell all my furniture in the.
Is there space for quite a big sofa? Yeah. One of these heavy old-fashioned ones, not the modern Swedish ones.
There is no space I create.
तू फोटो करके भेज दे हमको अपने लिविंग रूम का, ठीक है ना? WhatsApp. I won't come and do a means test. You send the photos and don't fake anything. Don't take stuff out of the room or something. Then I'll be very happy if Bob gets the family furniture. You can even sleep on it. It's very comfortable. When my uncle was sick, one of the medical workers used to sleep on that. It's quite sleepable. Huh? Bed nahi hai. Sofa, when you see it, you'll be, yeah, I'd better stop talking before I feel attached to it and don't want to give it away. But I've decided I want to give it away. And so that's it. I want Japanese style. You know Japanese style? Just flat mats. Hardly any furniture. Minimalist. Mats and, you know, paper partitions, rice paper partitions. That's what I reckon. Then you can just burn it when you get fed up with it very easily. Anyway. So I just talked about how great I am, how proud I am that I gave away 2 bits of, actually quite comfortable. I sat in it this morning as a kind of parting farewell and had my tea on one of them. It's very comfortable, but I just feel like getting rid of it, you know.
Where were the chairs? Was it
Huh?
drawing room?
Yeah, those big ones. You remember. But don't talk about it in that way. I'll feel I lost something valuable. All I lost was some furniture, some junk. But of course, probably in a, I don't know what, Art Deco or something, it will probably find, if it were in a museum, it might fetch something. I don't know. It might, but I didn't think of that. And it's quite bulky, and most museums don't have space. for things that bulky. So anyway, none of this is ours. None of it is mine. I'll just give one anecdote, then we should stop. Sorry, not much time unless there's burning interventions from others. Once when I was a monk, I went with a very good monk friend to a highly learned and respected geshe in South India. And we had some questions. He's a great philosopher. But one question we also asked him is, we have all these extra robes, because people keep on giving monks sets of robes to wear, yeah, robes. And in the monk's rules, in the Vinaya, you're only supposed to have 2 sets, maybe 2 sets. When one is dirty or being washed, you wear the other set, but 2 sets of robes. Why do you need more? So, but people keep on giving you robes, and you can't just take it out and leave it on the street or give it to the, kabariwala. That's not good to give away robes like that. So we asked him, what do you do with your robes? He said, look, you go home. When you go home, when you go to your room, look at everything you have in your room, clothes, this, that. Just think to yourself, this is not mine. This is not mine. None of this is mine. Of course, he was also making a philosophical point of a very deep nature. But he said, don't regard anything as yours. Nothing is yours. Even this body is not ours. He didn't say all this. If you look at people, if you go to funerals and you see people's bodies in the fire, it's like it's gone, mine, my body. It's all so impermanent. So it's not my furniture or not even my house, actually. It's still in my uncle's name anyway, so it's not mine. But of course I attach to it because of habit. It's 1962, I've regarded that plot anyway as my home or one of my homes. So there is attachment, there is grasping. So this is what we have to get rid of. Anything? Naveen, oh, he's here. Divya, Vikram, anything? Any of that makes sense, sir?
No, it does make sense, but I have no comment.
Do you have any furniture you don't want? Silence. You want all your furniture? Okay. Maybe I muted people by mistake. Anyway. Apurva, any furniture you don't need? Divya? Looks like you have a lot of furniture you don't need, right? Right?
Lots.
Oh, right? Okay. Naveenji, anything in your place?
I love to stuff on Sunday.
Really?
Not furniture, clothes, lots of clothes.
Wow. Are you redecorating?
No, I'm just redistributing.
Wonderful. People are getting ready for something, I think, fly off into space. They want to be less heavy, less burdened by worldly matter. Yeah. iPhone Shashi, I don't know who you are, but I guess your name is Shashi. And iPhone is not your surname. Okay. Anything?
In fact, with regards to objects, Kabirji, I was just wondering, and I've thought about this before quite a few times, and it's bothered me a bunch, that how the I sort of comes up as soon as like the most mundane object gets lost. Like, even though I don't know that I'm consciously attached to an object, but a very mundane object like a pair of earphones or something just gets, put into a corner. And even if I don't immediately need them, it'll just constantly ring in my head, and it'll come up with even things like meditation and all, which I feel weirdly guilty about. And I think that, why does my subconscious brain attach so much significance to something so mundane? But I guess the I comes up.
Absolutely. It's all connected with that. I mean, I get upset if I can't find a rubber band, because I love rubber bands, and they're kind of not, they're useful, but they're not kind of something one should identify with so much, right? But I use rubber band to tie around my mobile charger, right? When I'm not using it, because I like to put it away neatly. If I can't find it, it's problematic, sometimes. So I say, where is that? And I try to get good rubber bands. Anyway, Shashiji, now I can recognize you. Welcome. You should show your face. Otherwise, I have no idea who's there. You have to unmute yourself. All this modern technology.
Right now, can you hear me?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. Hi, how are you? I heard my name, and so I realized that I was off video and everything.
You remembered you were participating in a Zoom session. Good.
Yeah.
Hope you're not participating in too many Zooms all at once.
Well, that's
two at once.
Professional hazards, yeah.
Right. How are you? How's your husband?
He's all right.
Good. I hope you found the session, if not instructive, then slightly entertaining or time passing.
Very entertaining.
Very good.
Yes, you have a great sense of humor, which I do too. Yeah,
I'm about
so
to change
I like that.
Yes.
I like that.
I'm thinking to become a comedian rather than a...
No, I think you just be a laughing Buddha.
Laughing Buddha, okay.
Try to be one.
I need to put on some weight to be a laughing Buddha.
I know. No, we'll have a thin one, just the New Age Buddha.
New Age Buddha. Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you. You're very kind. Good. Thank you. I'm glad it's you. You're not writing any books these days, are you?
Trying to.
Really?
Yeah.
What topic?
It's a memoir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh. Spanning what years?
From birth to now to nearing death.
So that's from the 30s or 40s onwards?
That's a long haul, yes, 46 onwards.
Wow, that'll be interesting. So you were born at an interesting time.
Very, rather difficult times, yes.
Chinese sense, yeah, as being a curse.
Yeah. Yes.
Wow. Where were you born?
Lahore.
Lahore, wow. So you came over early with your family?
Well, they brought me when I was about 6 months old.
Wow.
I didn't come. I was brought.
Brought.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Look forward to that memoir.
Yeah.
Thank you, Shashiji. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else before we stop?
So Kabirji, talking of things, I would like to say that if we are in gratitude of all the things we have, the things don't get damaged and we can use them for a longer time.
Yes, indeed. Of course.
Yes.
I'm not saying one should start giving away furniture for no reason. I'm not saying. And even if it needs mending, one should mend it sometimes, of course, rather than just throw it away. Yeah. Absolutely. My uncle was a believer in that. Also, the Japanese have this whole art form of restoring things that are broken. I can't remember the name right now. It begins with a K.
Sabi. It's sabi. Sabi.
No. That's the overall thing, but there's another more technical.
Okay.
Huh?
For furniture?
Speak up. Ketsuki or something. Kotesuki.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, a very nice way of putting together broken porcelain, mainly porcelain, but other things too, maybe. And it's an art form. It's considered, yeah. And I guess they use it too. Then again, do they use it?
Considered more valuable.
They're very valuable things, yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. Japanese culture is very interesting. Have you read In Praise of Shadows? Can't remember the author. Begins with, I think, with the T. in praise of shadows. It's an extraordinary work on Japanese aesthetics. In praise of shadows. It is unbelievable. Thin book, recommended by Dzongsa Rinpoche. When I read it, I was like, beautiful, beautiful book. He discusses the aesthetics of things like Japanese toilets, traditional Japanese toilets, and it's so meaningful, so amazing. Their way of, their whole attitude to things and their design, amazing. Anyway, yeah. But of course, people like Milarepa in his cave, he didn't have any kind of toilet except the open air. Yeah, like I guess many Indian people still today. But if we can have a nice aesthetically designed toilet, why not? A lot of happy moments happen in toilets, right? As long as one, one's eating has been reasonable. Martin Luther had moments of realization in the toilet, apparently. The great reformer, Martin Luther. Anyway, let's get away from toilets for a while. Anything else? Navinji.
I'm just curious. Surely both has to go together.
What?
I mean, when he is instructing us in this exercise of equanimity, he's asking us to cherish others, the merits of cherishing others, and also the demerits of cherishing oneself.
Yes.
But even as both has to go together, I'm not able to figure out his instructions in terms of what should precede the other.
What should precede the other?
For training the mind, is it more pressing to start with cherishing others or reminding ourselves about the demerits of cherishing ourselves?
Well, take an example. You want to be a famous, you want to be a good lifesaver. What do you do first? On the beach, you want to be a good lifesaver. What do you have to do? Jump in the water, start saving other people before you're trained? It's the old example. That gives the answer. We don't take care of ourselves. We can't do anything for others. We just sink with them. We cause them to drown because we can't swim ourselves. So I think it's very simple. We have to do whatever we can to make our mind and body serviceable. If we want to help people, and that also involves a physical job, then we have to make sure our body is in reasonable shape. It's so obvious. If we can get by just doing a desk job, but then at least we have to make sure we have a good equipment and a good mind. Even if we don't have to move more than 10 feet a day. But of course, that won't be very good for our health. So it's better to regard body and mind as very precious, as we are supposed to, but not be fixated by it, and certainly not to regard it as mine. So we regard it as the Lama said, to go in your room, this does not belong to me. And what that means is it belongs to others. Everything belongs to others. Because most of what we have will be others at some point. Even if you didn't leave it for them in your will, some of them may get hold of it. So we better be prepared for that. Just let it go. If it makes them happy, just let it go. One person I know, he had very big difficulties, his marriage and stuff. He just let it all go. He let his ex have everything, including his children. Very painful for him, but he knew that was the right decision. Just let it go. He wasn't going to go to court for months and fight about how much to give the person. Just let it go. I think he's better off for that. Although he misses his children a lot. But what to do? Okay, good. So let's dedicate that we begin to understand what Shantideva is saying, which we do, of course, already. We're all good-hearted, intelligent people. We understand what he's saying. It's just kind of hard to put into practice, but we can do it, as the Buddha said, the mind is the easiest thing to work with, easier than the body. It is not physical, so in that sense, easier to work with. But the untrained mind, he says, that's a disaster. So we should protect against the untrained mind. So let's dedicate for everyone we know who are sick or ill or dying. And I think there was some people to be remembered. Yeah, this is from Dipesh Thakkar, a very fine human being who helped a lot of Tushita before he started working more for Tibet House. So this is from a friend of his. His friend wrote, my nephew, Bhavabhuti Mishra, nicknamed Kanha, age 24 years, only 24, died on the 4th of February, around 7:30 a.m. or so. His father, left by his father, Mr. Vinod Mishra, and his mother, Nisha Mishra. So imagine what they're feeling. They lost their 24-year-old son. So we pray for them. And Dipesh said this was his childhood friend, the person whose nephew passed away. So he wanted it included in medicine Buddha practice. So if any, but we don't have medicine Buddha today, but we can remember this sentient being who, like us, just wanted to be happy, Bhavabhuti Mishra. So please remember him, even though we don't know him or what he looks like. But anyway, just like us. And he could be having a very confusing, painful time in the intermediate state or wherever he is right now, which is, from Buddhist sense, certainly not in the lap of God or just automatically in some heavenly place. Not like that. So we pray for him that he has a good human rebirth and can meet authentic spiritual teachings that will benefit that being long term. So we pray for anyone else we know is unhappy, upset, lonely, hungry, those who have died in Turkey and Syria. Syria already ravaged by war and so forth for so long. The earthquake happened in a rebel-held area which has been pummeled by Syrian and Russian forces for many years. So already they had so much suffering. So now they have this huge earthquake. What would that be like? Anyway, you can see videos, yeah, on your screens. But that's only a video. It's like a film, right? It's like the movies. But what would it be like to be there? So we remember them. They are also, we think of them as I, then it becomes a bit different. So pray that we always are connected with authentic Dharma, have long and healthy lives, and harmonious with our spiritual friends. May our teachers have long and healthy lives. May they all their holy wishes be fulfilled. May the Dharma last in this world system for a very, very long time to benefit beings. Shantideva says in his 10th chapter, may beings stop fighting and think of benefiting one another. Please pray for the long life of His Holiness the Dalai Lama and Kyabje Lama Zopa Rinpoche, and for all the other great beings who are inspiring and helping us to tame our minds and be of some benefit to the world. May we never give up, but always have the courage to carry on, however difficult the circumstances, the inner and the outer circumstances, however difficult they are. May we always have courage based on wisdom and compassion. Okay, so thank you all very much for your patience. Apurvaji, Naveenji, Divya online, and all the rest of you in the Gompa here at Tushita. Thank you so much. Have a good evening.